Welcome back to 52 Lockup. I am your Apple Teeny Captain of Bitten Apple TV. 52 Lockup is a series I start to talk about one of my biggest passions, true crime. A new episode on every Cadmaniac week, so 52 weeks, 52 crimes. Hope you guys enjoy. Be sure to like, leave some feedback, subscribe, and of course, viewer discretion is always advised. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm a little late. I was stuck between this case and another one that's coming up for next week, and I was just like, where do I go? Because I was in love with both of these cases. But anyways, today we're heading back to Cali. Let's take a look at California's latest drug dealing grandma, or at least that's the nickname that they've given her. Joanne Marianne Segovia was born on November 8th, 1958 in San Jose, California. I have very limited information on her parents, how many siblings she has, about her family. I'm very limited in there. What I can tell you is that she was married to Domingo Segovia. Joanne seems to have kept a really tight lid on her private life, including her marriage. Now, she did post up photos of the couple obviously together to show that they're very much still in love with each other. And I did learn that the couple did have, two kids. They had Domingo Jr. and then their daughter, Jennifer Evans. And apparently they had a normal upbringing and happy family life, it was great. Joanne actually worked as a bookkeeper at Third Degree Communications Incorporation, which provides comprehensive certified training programs designed to enhance the investigative skills of law enforcement, corrections, security, and executive protection personnel. They also provide consulting and customized training programs for corporate America. I could not confirm if Joanne took any classes there while working, but I do think it's interesting. Joanne also worked at Deluxe Corporation as a manager, which is a company that focuses on American payments and business technology. It has 4 business divisions that comprise payments, cloud, promotional products, personal and business checks, marketing, web development, web hosting, and fraud protection services, right? So, as a side note, by 2020, Deluxe Corporation actually has accumulated as many as 4.5 million small businesses and 4,000 financial institutions. But before I get sidetracked, Joanne would take, all of these skills and, her managerial skills of Deluxe Corporation to go work for the San Jose Police Officers Association in 2003. Now, let's give a little chat, right, to San Jose Police Department right, a little bit. The police department was actually originally founded in 1849. Originally, they carried jailhouse records, for common offenses like public intoxication and vagrancy. In 1880, they held the arrest record, apparently, for the average of 120 arrests each month, which eventually is what created the position of a police chief, and the police chief acted as superintendent of the city jail as well by the late 1880s, right? So their police staff grew, and they have quite a strong reputation. San Jose was even one of the first places to use radio and phone technology to help their officers perform their duties. Even their academy originally started out as a police college, for aspiring cops to earn a 4-year bachelor's degree with an emphasis on criminal justice. It was even an all-men police force until Ida Walks in 1945. The department has accomplished many, many achievements, and then they would be undermined by their own police union's executive director. Yeah, so Joanne worked hard to climb the ranks, right? She's climbing the ranks, she's working hard, and now she's San Jose's Police Officers Association Union's executive director. She made over $160,000, at least reported in 2019, according to records. She would be estimated to be the net worth of $10 million as of 2023. And as the executive director, she would oversee the main front office, everything that happened there, and then supervise 2 other workers. Now, let's go back in time a little bit. So it seems around 2015, Joanne found some extracurricular activities to participate in, which is possible. This all started when she started to utilize her skills, perhaps, that she may have learned from Deluxe Corporation as well as Third Degree Communications Incorporation, and then combine that with becoming executive director. However, in 2019, U.S. Customs and Border Protection closed in on an international drug shipment. And they busted on it, searching on the network operator's phone, and then Homeland Security, they're like, what's this? They find messages from someone called J. Segovia to an address in San Jose, including words like 180 pills, Samoa, 500 milligrams. Who's this? We haven't seen this name in law enforcement before. Who's this? ¿Quién es eso? So, U.S. Customs and Border Protection found that there were 5 shipments to Segovia's address where they were intercepted in July 2019 and January 2023. The packages contained more than 1 kilogram of controlled substances, such as Zolpidem, which is a short-term sedative drug used for people who have insomnia. It's really meant to only be for a short term. It basically slows the brain down enough to go to sleep. Tramadol, which is a narcotic drug used to treat pain, and much like other popular narcotics, it is a central nervous system depressant. It turns out that those were not the only drugs distributed. Like Tapentadol, right, which is another narcotic that is used to treat moderate to severe acute pain. And just so you know, severe acute pain is usually pain that is described, it's basically, it begins suddenly and then dissipates once the specific cause of the pain has healed. Okay. They can also treat neuropathic pain, which is usually basically it's nerve damage, but tends to happen with that medication with diabetics. Shipments also included Schedule 1 synthetic opioid. That's right, your big friend fentanyl. Viral fentanyl. That's right. I know what you're thinking. You're like, wow, that's a lot of illegal drug shipments. But apparently these shipments also came from Hungary, Hong Kong, India, and then even Singapore. And they were delivered straight to her gated community door in San Jose. I mean, how can you possibly deliver that many drugs to your own home? Glad I could tell you. There were items that were labeled as clock, chocolates, wedding gifts, shirt tops, gift makeup, wedding party favors, sweets. You know, who's going to question an older lady whose reputation and nickname is like the loving grandma at San Jose Police Officers Association? I mean, plus, who would be so ballsy enough to use their own home address or their personal computer or their work computer to order thousands of opioid pills? I mean, she's very family-oriented. How could this be? Her husband never questioned her packages, and I presume it's because it's chick shit. He was just like, yeah, that's just girl shit. I'm going to leave that alone. Because it's the only thing that would make sense to me. And it's been reported by family that they were not in a financially struggling kind of situation. They were rather thriving. Or was she thriving because of her extracurricular activities? Anyways, I digress. So Joanne never gave any indications, right, of being suspicious. You know, she actively worked with officers who came to the union who were literally out there trying to fight and get fentanyl and other drugs off of the street. And one of the big wigs handling their paperwork was sitting right in front of them that they were looking for. I mean, she wasn't a police officer breaking the law. She was a person that the police officers turned to. It's apparent that she used the police union supplies to help run her drug business too, like their own UPS business account to ship things. It seems Joanne had sent a photo, which she gets caught on this one, to a supplier in North Carolina of a shipment made with their own account. Send the photo. Now, Joanne's been doing this for a bit of time, so maybe she's learned a trick or two, right? Staying off the radar, like using encrypted apps like WhatsApp, sending messages to plan shipments, exchange messages that span over 3 years with her phone number that had an Indian country code. She would deny these things, of course, and then tell the authorities later on that her housekeeper was actually the mastermind, because she's trying to help them with their substance abuse disorder, and she's there. There were some articles that even compared her to TV show Breaking Bad. Like, she's breaking barriers here. She was actually interviewed. So she gets on the radar like late 2022. So she ends up being interviewed by Homeland Security agents on February 1st, 2023. And she tells them, oh, those are supplements. I always order those. And they're like, yo, can we see your Cash App transaction history? I think the fuck not. So March 13th, 2023 in Kentucky, a package labeled clock was captured by law enforcement, which originated from China, heading toward her gated home address. The clock was beautiful, with white adhesive stickers / patches that had, fentanyl on it. You know, what kind of grandma clock is this? You think Rite Aid sells it? Never. I'm sorry, I'm doing too much. Anyway, she was interviewed then on March 14, 2023. And then that's when she would blame her housekeeper. She's a very smart woman for the most part. She had to have known that they were closing in on her, right? So now we have March 23rd of 2023. Joanne completes a payment for a suspected drug transaction that we found out later. And then like a day later from there, officers would seize Tapenta doll, right, at her house and office, which looks like she was being interviewed by the cops and then still had the balls, the cojones to still turn around and be like, nah, I'm just gonna order some more. Click. Like, like I'm just... When her WhatsApp account was finally apprehended, they also found messages referring to Soma or orange pills. Soma is actually the brand name of Carisoprodol, now, which is a prescription for skeletal, right, muscle relaxation. It relieves pain caused by muscle injuries like, you know, strains and sprains, that kind of thing. They would also find a photo of her computer screen showing PayPal payments to an Indian name company, and Segovia's police union business card is like right underneath. Was she trying to get caught? I mean, was she tired? Was she trying to get out of the game? Like, I'm just... Or was she that supercilious and arrogant and narcissistic that she was like, I ain't going to jail. Everyone loves me. She's facing a maximum statutory sentence of 20 years. In addition, as part of the sentence, the court may order the defendant to serve at least 3 years of supervised release and to pay a fine of up to $250,000. Assistant U.S. Attorney Joseph Tartakovsky is prosecuting the case with the assistance of Margot Tercios. And it seems like her drug network extended to as many as 48 states. It was even discovered that at least one shipment made by Joanne unfortunately would lead to an overdose, right? Now, these synthetic opioid fentanyls can be like smoked, it can be snorted, it can be even taken orally, right? However they want to. This drug is considered to be roughly 100 times stronger than morphine, at least according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. This drug can be distributed to every street corner, right? And this thing has a record of killing about 75,000 Americans, at least reported for 2021. This adds up to about 1,500 American lives lost weekly. Now, remember those zombie videos? Yeah, you're like, oh my God, it's crazy. Those are drugs mixed with fentanyl. Yeah. American life expectancy has taken a drop continuously. Like in 2019, it was 7.8, then down to 2021, it goes down to 76.4, and it continues to drop in relation to the drugs. Apparently, even officials in Washington state reported that they are running out of space in morgues and crematoriums as the drugs rip through the local community. Fentanyl is not a joke, right? How did it become a problem? Well, it started in 2016, which is oddly enough a year after Joanne started her wedding gift business. Is she the sole problem to the fentanyl crisis? Absolutely not. No. But she's one of many pieces that are contributing to it, right? Annually, deaths caused by synthetic opioids have reached as many as 28,466. How is this drug successfully getting across into the country? Well, in the form of lady interest, which is not surprising, but, it does make sense to me, right? Like, oh, just ignore it. It's just like chick shit. You know what I mean? Fentanyl is based, it's beyond the basic drug cartels and drug deals, right? It's literally mixed into everything. It's mixed with your cocaine, Molly, even street benzodiazepines, like Xanax, right? Yeah, everyone's familiar with Xanax. I really want your opinion on this in the comment section about this case. I mean, are you an officer from San Jose? How do you feel about this? Are you an officer in general with experiences of dealing with these kinds of cases? Are you surprised with her being taken into custody? I mean, do you know someone who is suffering from substance abuse, whether you're an officer or not? This case is very interesting. And just as a side note, if you do know someone suffering from substance abuse, please look into samhsa.gov, or you can call 1-800-662-HELP. 1-800-662-4357. You can also reach out by email at samhsa.info@samhsa.hhs.gov. I mean, the case is fascinating. I went down the hole because I was just fascinated, right? I was utterly fascinated with this case because it was just like, she's not an officer. How did she get by on this for years eight, 9 years just doing this. And on top of it, had that other person in her network not got caught, or if they didn't have her name in the phone, that means that she would have been continuing to do business. Her family is out of their minds. They're like, what? Abuelita de what? Like, everyone is absolutely floored. I mean, the woman's in her 60s. I mean, I don't know if that... how do you process it? And then, like, on top of it, I know they're saying, like, they could tell, like, you know, things are going back as far as, like, 2015, and she may have started all this, but has it always been this way? And then, like, she's just been, like, floating under the radar mad smoothly, sitting there using WhatsApp, but screwing up with the photos, as well as having her name on things and her business cards in these photos. Was she getting tired? Did she try to get out? Like, I am thrilled and so curious about this case. I mean, what do you... Like, Grams is gangster. Like, like, how... And you gotta give her credit. You gotta give her credit. It was smart to use things that women would be interested in, that no one would even bother to be like, that was weird. I feel like if it was a man, right, and they had the same thing, like wedding gifts and all that stuff, people are anticipating stereotypes. If they were to do something stereotype, it would have to be someone who's part of the LGBTQ plus community for someone not to question it. And she went along with that stereotype, like, haha, instant, I'm just a woman. You know what I mean? Like, I tried picturing, like, who else could get away with this? And I was like, I could only find that community. That was the only one that would make any sense. Do you not see her photo? She looks wholesome. She looks like she'd bake you some cookies, maybe something with it if you're upset. But it's just... It's curious. It's fascinating. It's also incredibly insulting, right, to the San Jose police. Can you imagine you're a detective, you're out there busting your butt out there, you're like cracking down on crime, and then maybe you had a bad day because some guys out on fentanyl, some guys are fentanyl, you know, they're drug dealers, or you're dealing with the patients along with EMS. Someone called the cops on someone who's on fentanyl, right? I mean, because we've all seen the lane, they all go a little crazy. And then you go to your rep and you're like, you're just trying to find the help that you need. Maybe you go to your union rep because you need psychological support because something crazy happened at work. And the person you're talking to is literally the reason why you had that experience, because they are distributing drugs across the country. That is a hell of a betrayal. Like, just like, oh no, it sounds terrible. Right, here's your paperwork. See you later. Order 500,000. Like, that's a whole other separate cojones. Like, I gotta give it to grandma. And then part of me also wonders, I mean, third degree communications, right? Incorporation, that company does teaching officers like how to enhance their skills and how to, you know, learn all these different things. So was she sitting there like in the background, just, oh, that's how they're doing it. Okay, don't do that. Like, she's smart. She's very smart. And I gotta hand it to her. But the only thing about it that's like absolutely, heartbreaking is the fact that fentanyl kills people every single day on a massive load. 1,500 people a week? That's a lot. That's a lot to be contributing to it. And obviously in this drug network ring, they already busted down like 2 people. But it doesn't stop. And it often seems like... people are self-medicating to get away from things, which brings me back to psychological support. People need the psychological support. People often, it's becoming more of a conversation now, but previously psychological support has been heavily dismissed, right? You know, like, oh, nothing's wrong with my son, nothing's wrong with my daughter, or I've never done anything wrong, blah, 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 right? So people are self-medicating, and then now it's creating its own little like epidemic, freaking crisis that's happening, where people are getting hooked onto something because their brain is being rewired by these drugs, because their body only knows that one thing. It only knows that one thing to like, I just want to feel better. Literally. They're numbing themselves so they don't have to feel a thing. And I'm sure everyone on this planet at some point, for the most part, has experienced a dark moment in their life like that. But it's sad because you're literally just destroying lives. And to think about it, some people are more likely to become addicted to these kinds of drugs, right? That's why there are certain drugs that come with a lot of warnings, like even with Percocet. You have to be careful with Percocet because for some people, they're like, that was fine. I feel better. I'm healed up. I'm all good. And then someone else could take Percocet and then just downhill very quickly. It is amazing the changes that the human body can do. Like, human anatomy is absolutely incredible. How you could rewire the brain from whether it's a psychological thought to substance abuse. The human body is absolutely incredible. I mean, all living things are actually really, really cool. But fentanyl, it's a dangerous drug. I mean, they all are. But it's just sad to see that you have someone who's on a team that's supposed to be fighting these things, supposed to be battling these things, and supposed to be, putting the bad guys down. And here is someone literally, and the call is coming from within the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's sad. It's really, really sad. And the crazy part is the people who are hooked on the drugs don't see how it's destroying themselves or their life. They only know what is the drug, right? And it becomes that way because of the rewiring of the brain. Like, grandma, how you out there like handing out baked cookies and being known as the loving family-oriented grandma, and then like, yet on the side you were out there delivering these drugs? I mean, my question, if I could ask her this, is, let's say after the court cases and the evidence is out there and like, all right, she's been convicted. Let's say if it comes to that, she's convicted and she's sentenced to 20 years. My only question to her is, yes, you gave your kids an amazing life. You helped out your family. You did a lot of amazing, wonderful things. But would you still continue to do it? Would you still make the same choice again if you had realized that anyone in your family became addicted to the very drugs that you were handing out? That's my only true curiosity. I must admit, because is that where you would draw the line when it affects? Because usually people will always say like, I don't really care because it's not happening in my backyard, but they don't understand everyone's backyard is the same backyard. So it's probably my only curiosity and question. And of course, I really do want everyone's feedback on this particular case. When you saw it, where you're like, oh, grandma, like, you know what I mean? And my condolences out to go to her family that's dealing with all these changes, because that's got to be one hell of a crazy eye-opener. Just kind of like, I thought this was just how she was. Like, everything was great. I thought those were wedding gifts. I thought that was just makeup. And then meanwhile, she's just utilizing it to just do everything. I mean, she floated under the radar so smoothly. So like the last 3 to 4 months, she's pretty smooth. You gotta give it to her. And I feel bad for her family that now has to go through like all these changes, because now this image that they have in their head of her is utterly shattered. But yeah, that's it for today's case. I definitely appreciate you guys being patient with me once again. Of course, I'm multitasking, so there's 1,000 things that I'm doing, and I got sucked into this other case that I was just like, what do I do for this week? But of course, just a reminder, again, if you know anyone who is suffering from substance abuse, please be sure to call 1-800-662-4357. Of course, I will have it up on the screen. Be sure to visit their website, and I hope you and your loved ones will always stay safe. But as always, stay safe and stay vigilant.